You are welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is What Do You Know Jubisco edition. This is our very first episode, and we have some of our students here because this is brought to you by Jubilee Academy and Computer School. I'm going to have them introduce themselves to you so that you get to know their names as we proceed. Let's start.
I go by the name Odrukobi Richard.
I go by the name Aikushila.
I go by the name Aframa Kingsford.
Okay, so these are our quiz contestants for the first edition of What Do You Know? Now, this is going to be a quiz competition with 4 different rounds. Now, for every round, we are going to have 15 questions going around. And for every major question, you get 5 marks. And for every bonus question, you get 3 marks. So let's not waste much time. Let's just go straight into the game. For the first round, we are going to have general knowledge. Now, all the questions that are going to be read will not have possible answers. So waiting. Now, we are expecting each and every one of them to be smart enough to answer the questions without possible answers. So if you are ready like I am, let's just get straight into it. So we'll start the first round with Richard Odro. Are you ready for me? Okay, so let's start. What is the largest continent in the world?
Asia.
Asia, that is correct for 5 points. Okay, Ayikushila, which ocean is the largest in the world?
The Pacific Ocean.
The Pacific Ocean, that is correct for 5 points. Afama Kingsford, what is the capital city of Nigeria?
Abuja.
Abuja, that is correct. Alright, let's move to the next one. Richard, which planet is known as the red planet?
Mars.
Mars, that is correct for 5 points. Okay. Sheila, your question. How many regions are in Ghana today?
16.
16, that is correct for 5 points. Kingsford, what is the longest river in the world?
River Nile.
River Nile, that is correct for 5 points. Great. Richard Odro, who wrote Ghana's national anthem?
Philip Beho.
Philip Beho, that is correct for 5 points. Okay, Sheila, what is the largest animal on land?
Elephant.
Elephant, that is true and correct for 5 points. Okay, Afama Kingsford, what is the capital city of the United States of America?
Washington, D.C.
Washington, D.C., that is correct for 5 points. Richard, who invented the light bulb?
Thomas Edison.
Thomas Edison, that is correct for 5 points. Sheila, how many days make a leap year?
366 days.
That is correct for 5 points. Afama Kingsford, what is the name of the world's highest mountain?
Mount Everest.
Mount Everest. We will go for the last round for the first round. Is that okay? Now, the first one, we will start with Richard Odro. What is the capital of the Ashanti region?
Kumasi.
Hey, Sheila, who discovered gravity?
Sir Isaac Newton.
Sir Isaac Newton. That is correct. One faster and back. Correct. Okay. Then the last for this particular round, the last question for this particular round goes to Kingsford Aframa. Which country hosted the 2022 FIFA World Cup?
Qatar.
Qatar. That is correct for 5 points. Okay, thank you very much. So at the end of the first round, I'm going to give you the scores now. At the end of the first round, we had Richard Odro coming up with 25 points, Ayikushila with 25 points, and Afama Kingsford with 25 points. It means in the first round, the 3 of them are topping. So there is no one lagging behind. Let's move quickly to the second round. Okay, so now we are in round 2. And just as we did for the other round, your major question is going to give you 5 marks. And the bonus question will give you just 3 marks. If you are ready like I am, we are still going to answer 15 questions in this round. So say, Uber to me and start in the language, I'm going to get 5 questions each. So let's start from Sheila this time. What gas do humans breathe in? Well, they're very simple.
Oxygen.
Oxygen, that is correct for 5 points. Okay, Afama Kingsford, which planet is closest to the sun?
Mercury.
Mercury, which makes it the hottest planet. Is that true? Okay. Now, gentlemen, Richard Odro, what do we call the study of living things?
Biology.
Biology, that is correct for 5 points. That's good. That's good. Okay, Ayikushila, what is the hardest part of the human body?
The tooth enamel.
The tooth enamel. That is correct for 5 points. Afama Kingsford, what is the function of the lungs?
It helps in breathing or gas exchange.
That is correct for 5 points. Odro Richard, which type of change is boiling water?
Physical change.
Physical change. That is correct for 5 points. You are good. You are good. Now let me ask a difficult question. Ayikushila, what is the boiling point of water in Celsius?
100 degrees Celsius.
100 degrees Celsius. That's correct for 5 points. I wish I can give it up for you, but okay. Afama Kingsford, what is the freezing point of water?
0 degrees Celsius.
0 degrees Celsius. That's correct for 5 points. Odro Richard, what is the natural satellite of the Earth?
Moon.
Okay, so Richard Odro, your question. What is the natural satellite of the Earth?
The moon.
The moon. That is correct for 5 points. Ayikushila, what force pulls objects towards the Earth?
Gravity.
Gravity. That is correct for 5 points. Kingsford, what do we call animals that eat both plants and meats?
Omnivores.
Okay, now this question goes to Afama Kingsford. What do we call animals that eat both plants and meat?
Omnivores.
Omnivores. That is correct for 5 points. Great. The next question, Odro Richard. What do we use to measure weight?
Scale.
Scale. That is correct for 5 points. Ayikushila, what do we call water that falls as rain, snow, or hail?
Precipitation.
Precipitation is correct for 5 points. That's good. Afama Kingsford, what type of energy does a moving car have?
Kinetic energy.
Kinetic energy. That is correct for 5 points. Now we are taking our last question for this round, and it's going to go to Odro Richard. Okay. What do we call materials that allow electricity to pass through?
Conductors.
Conductor. That is correct for 5 points. And that brings us to the end of the round 2. At the end of round 2, we have Odro Richard coming up with 25 points. We have Ayikushila with 25 points and Afama Kingsford also with 25 points. It is a tie. It was a tie in round 1 and it's still a tie in round 2. Now let's move on quickly to round. Okay, so now let's continue with the round 3. Now the round 3 will be solving maths. Okay, we are still going to have 15 questions, 5 expected for each and every one to answer. If you answer correctly, you get 5 marks. If you get a bonus, it is 3 marks. Okay, so now let's start from Afama Kingsford because it is his turn. What is the value of pi approximately?
3.14.
3.14. That is correct for 5 points. Odro Richard, how many sides has a pentagon?
5 sides.
This one is a bonus question. Alright, that is correct for 5 points. Ayikushila, what is the quarter of 100?
25.
25, that is correct for 5 points. Afama Kingsford, convert 0.5 to fraction.
1/2.
1/2 is a bonus question. You should have gotten the code. That's fine. Okay, so now let's move on to the next question. What is the square root of 49? Odro Richard.
7.
7, that is correct for 5 points. Good. Ayikushila, find the perimeter of a square with side 6 centimeters.
24 centimeters.
24 centimeters, that is correct for 5 points. That's good. That's good. Afama Kingsford, what is the area of a rectangle with length 8 centimeters and width 5 centimeters?
40 centimeters square.
40 centimeters square. You didn't even write anything. That's good. That's correct. Okay. Now let me give you a challenging one. Odro Richard, what is the mean of 10, 20, and 30?
20.
20. That is correct for 5 points. Next time I'll come and watch your working. Okay, Ayikushila, let's do this. Simplify 15 plus open bracket 6 times 2 bracket close. Simplify it.
$27.
That is correct for 5 points. Okay, Afama Kingsford. If A is 5 and B is 3, find A plus B squared.
14.
14, that is correct for 5 points. Good. Odro Richard, your question. What is the Roman numeral for 25?
XXV.
XXV, that is correct for 5 points. Good. Ayikushila, what is 1 kilometer in meters?
1,000 meters.
1,000 meters, that is correct for 5 points. Kingsford, how many millimeters make 1 liter?
1,000 milliliters.
1,000 milliliters, that is correct for 5 points. And that was your last question for this round. Odro Richard, your question. What is the sum of the interior angles of a triangle?
Equals 180 degrees.
180 degrees, that is correct for 5 points. That was your last question for this round. Ayikushila, simplify 3 divided by 4 plus 1 divided by 4.
1.
1 is the correct answer, and that gives you 5 marks. And that brings us to the end of round 3. At the end of round 3, we have Odro Richard with 25 marks, Ayikushila with 25 marks, and Afama Kingsford with 25 marks. There is still a bracket. Now let's find out if the last round is going to be the tiebreaker. If you are ready with me, let's dash straight in to the round 4. Okay, welcome to the round 4 of this quiz competition. What do you know, Jubisco edition? This is going to be the last round, and it's going to cover English language. They're going to have 15 questions, 5 questions to each and every contestant standing here, expectedly, okay? Now let's start from Richard. Let's start from Richard. Although Richard, what is the plural of child?
Children.
Children, that is correct for 5 points. What is the opposite of happy?
Sad.
Sad, that is correct for 5 points. After for what is a sentence?
A sentence is a group of words that expresses a complete thought.
That is correct for 5 points. Now, this question goes to Richard Odro. Now, you are going to choose the correct word for this particular sentence, okay? It is dash book. My, M-I, mine. Mine, M-I-N-E, mine. And me, M-E, me.
My.
Which of them?
MY.
M-Y, mine, that is correct for 5 points. Ayikushila, what punctuation mark ends a question?
A question mark.
A question mark, that is correct for 5 points. After Kingsford, what do we call words that sound the same but have different meanings?
Homophones.
Homophones, that is correct for 5 points. Good. Odro Richard, which part of speech is the word quickly? Or what part of speech is the word quickly?
Adverb.
That is correct for 5 points. Ayikushila, form a sentence using the word beautiful.
The girl is beautiful.
Is that the best you can do? Another sentence.
The beautiful girl is going to school.
Another sentence.
Her beauty. She is very beautiful.
Another sentence.
Her mother is very beautiful.
Another sentence.
Her beauty attracts all the boys in the class.
Very good. That is correct for 5 points. Afama Kingsford. Okay, Afama Kingsford. What is the subject of this sentence? The boy kicked the ball.
The boy.
The boy. That is correct for 5 points. All right. Richard, I am going to spell 2 words. Okay. They are going to tell me which one is correct. You are going to find the correct spelling for the word receive. Okay. Receive. So A. R-E-C-I-E-V-E. The second one is R-E-C-E-I-V-E. Which is correct?
The second.
The second one. Spell it.
R-E-C-E-I-V-E.
That is correct for 5 points. Ayikushila, what is the future tense of go?
Will go.
Will go. That is correct for 5 points. Afama Kingsford, rewrite this sentence or recite this sentence in plural form. The child is crying.
The children are crying.
The children are crying. That is correct for 5 points. Now everybody's going to get their last question for this round, and I hope one of you will lose so that we can declare 2 winners and 1 loser. All right. Let's start from you. Richard Odro, what is the past tense of eat? Spell it.
ATE.
ATE, that is correct,
Ate.
which is ate. That is very true. Ayikushila, your last question for this round. Give one example of an interjection. An interjection. Oh, it's an interjection. That is correct for 5 points. The last question for the entire quiz competition goes to Afama Kingsport. Give me an example of an interjection.
Wow.
Wow, that is correct for 5 points. And that brings us to the end of the 4th round. We have Odro Richard with 25 points, Aikushila with 25 points, and Afama Kingsport with 25 points. When we put all the scores together, it means for the entire quiz competition, Richard Odro managed to get 100 marks. Aikushila 100 marks, and Afama Kingsport 100 marks. It means this competition was a tie. It means they had all the questions correct. There was no mistake. There was no wrong, which is strange. Because of this, we will bring them back here another time for another episode. This is the first episode, and then we are having all of them time. We'll bring them back to find a tiebreaker for the 3 so that we can have a winner and we can have some losers. Thank you very much for your time. We will see you next time with What Do You Know Jubisco edition.